Mic check. Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video we shall discuss the current affairs and gazette for today, that is 22nd of December 2021. Good evening to everybody. Good evening Preeti. Good evening Amlan. Hi Babani. Hi Kriti. Hello Ashish. And then we also have other people here. Hi Agnes Inbak. We also have other people. If I'm missing out, please type your name in again. And welcome all of you. Now, today we discuss quite a few interesting articles, but I will also put you in some kind of dilemma, a puzzle that you need to solve yourselves, right? This is on the result of what we discussed yesterday, right? So that you understand where we are leading, where we are going, what is the meaning of analysis, and what is the meaning of collection of inputs and processing it and further reproducing it, right? Hello, good evening, Vishwas. Good evening. So today we discuss three snapshots, three update articles. First one being India's new semiconductor policy. Just a quick repetition and some extra facts, data for you for the semiconductor industry of India, right? So you need to note down some important facts from here, important ones. The second one is an update on radioactive pollution in our country, which is now growing with time. It is just found out that there are more places than fewer where radioactive pollution is coming into water. The third one is on 5 years of UDAN scheme and its analysis. Is it going in the right direction, or what is the issue with it? This day in history dedicated to National Mathematics Day. We will understand who we are talking of here. Feature news of today is on India-Russia relationship in this changing world. We will understand the whole dynamics of this relationship in context to the global order, the changing times, and the whole evolution, right, in the feature news today. Image of the day is on world's longest flexible battery. Could be used for various innovative kind of technological devices and purposes. Terms for today are CADS 500, killer robots, Chillai Kalan, and smartphones, which are contributing humongously to electronic waste. Editorials of the day, the three that we have quickly to be discussed are jobs really getting created? The second one is on Ayush, Ministry of Ayush and its involvement in Biodiversity Act. And the third one is on manual scavenging. A very inspirational story of a person who got through civil services, but from a very humble background. So let's start this discussion. But our discussion won't begin with this first snapshot. My discussion will begin with the conversation of what we did yesterday and some controversial topics, just like what we discussed yesterday. Now, why are some topics called as controversial? When we are touching on topics like minimum age for marriage to be raised from 18 to 21, when we are talking about women participation in armed forces, when we talk about an issue like uniform civil code, when we talk about an issue like reservation policy in the country, right? Similarly, many other such topics. These are complex topics because Indian society is more than simple. We are not a homogeneous society, it is a heterogeneous society. We are a democratic country, we are not an autocratic country. And especially for the people who are preparing for the UPSC civil service examination, we have to become a leader, right? We do not have to become a follower following somebody else's steps. We have to ensure that fundamental rights of people are entertained, they are met well, right? We have to ensure that the directive principles of state policy, DPSP, are followed in every action that we take. So you as visionary, as leaders, as civil servants, what should be your opinion on a sensitive matter like this, where the whole crowd community is divisive? Are you a political executive or will you be a permanent executive? This should be your stance. Then another question to ask, are you a journalist or are you the one who will preserve human rights, who will talk of giving equity to everybody? So since in yesterday's conversation, a lot of people favored, increasing the age, and some people also favored having the age as 18. Some people remain to choose discrete with rational grounds. I also gave my grounds, but my opinion was not a personal opinion. It was based on a wiser conclusion that one should draw, a wisdom-based conclusion that one should draw towards issues like this. Similarly, and a lot of people gave data also, a lot of data about Singapore and developed countries, having increased age of marriage. This is where I want to ask a question, also demonstrate to you how data can be used to manipulate anything, right? So therefore we should not go by the politics of it. We should go by an understanding of what the fundamental rights talk of, what the directive principles talk of, what are our fundamental duties, something basic that is related to the constitution. So the issue is that of women participation in the armed forces. Now the issue here is there are three facets of women participation. When women participate in the armed forces, there is something called as giving them permanent commission. Many women have not gotten permanent commission. After 10 to 15 years of service, they are asked to leave the service because on various grounds. Military has not given them the permanent commission, right? Then the second one is combat roles. Women are not made to participate in combat roles, even if they are good in combat, or they might not be as good, but it is mandatory in India that women do not participate in combat roles. Why so? Because it is felt that it might leave the women forces in an uncomfortable position in the war. Maybe give some extra edge to the male person who is fighting against them. These are the words of armed forces, right? And what about their privacy? Let me give you some data, some facts. In Ladakh, when people go and they go to protect our borders, in a small tent, in a small hut, people have to reside for 2 to 3 months. And 4 people inside this small tent, they have to sleep together, they have to wake up together. Even the nature calls have to be attended in a close by area, and there is no privacy, there is no personal security, there is no individual autonomy. It is a group force that is working together. Now this is a fact. This is what the armed forces is able to provide, be it Indian armed forces or Pakistani armed forces. So the infrastructure at that level is not that appropriate to provide the basic rights to women there, right? So army says that right now we do not have sufficient infrastructure. Should we be able to place women there? This is another question that we have. Another question is command positions. Women are not made to they are not given the command positions in Indian military. You know why? Because it is felt, it is also said by senior officers in the armed forces that the men, the junior men in the armed forces, they would not be in a position to accept the orders from a female superior. Imagine that. So these are the words of the armed forces, right? I am not speaking all this. Now this is the reality on ground. Permanent commission, combat roles, command positions. These are 3 intricate matters on which the ground realities are this. Even if one wants the junior men, it will take time for them to understand. This is one perspective. The other perspective is women demanding roles. Women saying, we want to go into a fight and defend our country. I am patriotic. Don't stop me for this. This is one opinion. The other one says that if she is efficient in a command position, why not try her? We have had a lady president of the country. We have had the defense minister who has been a lady, right? We have had the prime minister as lady. Why cannot we have a colonel or a brigadier ranked officer as lady and command the positions? Yes, we can. Absolutely. And what about permanent commission? Yes, give them permanent commission so that there is security of tenure, so that they also receive benefits of pension. See, both the sides are justified. They are asking for due rights, just like every individual, and the military is also presenting a valid perspective from its own perspective. Yeah. So when you look at, some of you have mentioned that the advanced forces around the world, they have spoken that yes, women must participate, and forces in UK, USA, they are ensuring that women also participate in combat roles. Having said that, you will also note that various security agencies have carried out survey, and they say that all men team are far more efficient than a mixed team. Navy SEALs, USA Navy SEALs, one of the most efficient forces, has said this, right? On the other hand, there are people who say that fine, if you do not want that women participate in combat roles, all the combat roles, they can participate in many roles which are auxiliary and very much in the war front. One good example is that of reconnaissance, recce and reconnaissance. So before getting into the fight, the close combat, the survey of the area is done. They can participate there, right? They can participate in laying down the electronics and communication networks in those areas. And what about being a sniper? They don't have to get indulged in war. They have to be the best, person who can fire a weapon from a distance, from a couple of kilometers away. So there are various capacities in which women can participate. This is where the rational argument comes forth. The rational argument comes forth, and this is what should be your argument. When we talk about give opinions on women participation in armed forces, they never have to be personal opinions. We have to present opinions. Everything is standard. All you have to do is study. All you have to do is put those points. Do not become emotional about these topics. So you have to present the pros. That means the women participation and how it is important, right? Not only their rights, it is also about efficiency of the armed forces. Then we also have to talk about what the military says, right? Two perspectives given, and then what is the vision. So what is the vision in an issue like this? I have explained this previously. Here the vision is something like this. Military training is about reshaping of the mindset, having those officer-like qualities. So reshaping mindsets while in the training. It is in the training when people understand what is the value of discipline. What is, what is trigger happy? Discipline. One cannot fire from a weapon without, accounting for every bullet from it. It cannot make anybody trigger happy. When they are accountable for that, when they are accountable for their timely regimen, when they are accountable because it has reshaped their mind, why cannot we have a training to start respecting women? Yes, we can have that. It's about an attitudinal change, and allow women to choose what role they want to play here in the combat or in the armed forces. So this is how an opinion should flow like. Yes, when you become a military general, when you become a senior officer in the police and you see there is inefficiency, then your perspective might evolve further. But right now you will follow the words of Constitution. Similarly, when we talk of an issue, so don't get trapped. No, that's the point. Yesterday, you people were into debates, into conversation with each other. Hello, Manvendra. Hello, Meher. Hi, Sam. All right, Sam. Okay. Then we have Ashish. Their entries should also be open from women position of NCOs and JCOs. Yes, NCOs and JCOs, non-commissioned officers and junior commissioned officers as well. So when you talk of issues, there are more sensitive issues here. Why only these? What about uniform civil code in the country? Politicians will fight about it. There will be newspaper reports on this, but you have to prepare it as only one single topic. Keep your equanimity, keep yourself centered, and know both the perspectives, right? Or if there are three perspectives, know all the 3-4 perspectives, and have a conclusion which is wisdom filled. It should not be biased because of what is in the newspaper reports. That's why we are here, no, right? So uniform civil code, or you talk about reservation policy, right? I understand many of you would have not gotten through because there is a policy which is flawed at some places. It needs amendments. But one cannot deny that there are people, because of caste issues, they are facing the issue of reservation, right? Not being able to give the adequate representation. So then reservation became a must. But yes, we need reformations. So please kindly, first thing is do not get disturbed. Second thing is start presenting wiser opinions. Do not get deflected. Many of you are at a stage of preparation which is going to guide the next 2 years or 1 or 2 years, and then will frame the whole path for you. So because you are diligent, because you are with me, allow me to give you this wise input. Be objective about even the subjective things. Be objective, because wiser opinions are there in the market. We do not have to get into debates, right? So I hope that all of you understand what I am saying, and you will consider my opinion on this. Hello, Surya. Good evening to you. And there are many other issues which will disturb, which will perturb, which will poke you to say something which you do not want to say. And data also will be present. Data, I presented the Navy SEALs data now. Right? People will give all these, give these arguments, but you do not have to win a debate. You have to win the mind of the examiner in the exam, right? So for that, all you have to do is think about the wiser perspective of the person who is presenting the opinion, pick up a good point or two if you need to, and then move ahead. Be quiet, keep quiet, right? All right, equality among equals. So there are various places where you will quote Article 14, right to equality. There are various places where you will quote Article 19, right to freedom. So here in the issue of providing women the age at which they can marry, this is not right to equality. This is about right to freedom. Why are you enforcing right to equality on them? They do not want it. So let them have the right to freedom at least. So choose. It's for you to choose. Article 21, Article 19, Article 14, if all of them converge together, nobody will have a debate. But yes, if two of them converge together, fine, you choose this over this. Provide rational grounds, right? You will understand. And personal opinions, they will come very late in life. If at all, they will come very late in life. When you become a strategic position holder, cabinet secretary, or maybe a principal secretary to the prime minister, that senior, or DGP in the state, then your opinion will start counting, or secretary in the ministry of the government, right? So please consider what I'm saying till that time you get into the civil services, right? And beyond that, yes, you can have your game around it. So considering those kind of questions which can disturb you, keep yourself centered, right? Something to avoid that happened yesterday. It can happen in debates while we are preparing for the exam. These are the kind of issues that we face, but only through confusion is born clarity. This is the way, this is the confusion, and only through confusion is born the clarity into what we want to do, and what is the wiser opinion. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go through this, but maybe in a lot more gentle way, right? There will be a lot of debates happening, and day in day out you people have dedicated your youth, your time, your valuable time, and many of you left your jobs. Somebody could have done something so more in your life, but you have left it. But not to be caught up in this confusion. Come out of it, become clearer that you have to clear the examination. You do not have to win a debate, right? Because these debates are not moderated also, no? It is not even Arnab Goswami speaking, it is the one who is louder, and that person wins, right? So let's begin this conversation, right? 192 Siddhant Sharma says some of our leaders are including Article 25 in age limit amendment. Is it correct? These are opinions on people who are making it work or not making it work, and we know that for a democracy to work, we have to be inclusive, right? So this question will not be asked. I can tell you that. I can assure you that we should discuss whether age should be a factor or not, or is it not, because there are opinions. If you look at some other sites, civil servants have already started to write that we must go beyond the age factor. So yes, on the grounds of equality, on the grounds of religion, people will write. And there will be people who will try to make us divisive also. They'll start speaking of uniform civil code. Is it not that? When we are talking of equality of ages for marrying, this is an attempt to invoke uniform civil code in the country. Is the country ready? Is the country ready? If you talk, so let us get into the issue of religion and caste then. If you say that Muslim community needs to mend its ways, there are various reports suggesting that. For example, modernization of madrasas, inclusion of the modern languages and study of science and mathematics in madrasa in the language of English rather than Urdu. So if you are trying to include these kind of things in the Muslim community, are we also talking of reforming the caste system or the reservation system, right? So then there are so many things which will get linked. If you are talking of one issue, why are you speaking only of one issue? Why not all of them? And why only on these social issues? Why are we not accounting for governance? Why are we not accounting on those parameters on which the government has already well laid the parameters and spending money? So do not fall in the trap, friends. There will be tens of issues like this. For example, India-Pakistan is another issue. India-Pakistan. Should India wage a war on Pakistan because there are terror strikes happening? War is not good for anybody. It will take in a huge amount of resources, money, finances, and what about lives? The cost of lives is irreparable. It cannot be compensated anyhow. So look at the lives lost for the Indians and Pakistanis. Leave Pakistanis. Indian lives lost. Do you want the war? No. But there will be politicians saying, yes, war is mandatory. It must happen. So are we going to opine on that? No, we will not. Therefore, be wise, be more than what is reflected in media. Okay? All right. So let's begin the conversation. So today on Gazette, we discussed the first one as India's semiconductor policy. This policy was the same, which is an extension of the discussion that we had on the feature news. 76,000 crore rupees injection in the Indian economy for creation of the fab unit and semiconductor display unit, right? The display unit that you see. So what do they want? See, you should know a couple of important things about this. That is, the rest of the things that you're already aware. 50% of the cost, upfront cost of both these type of units will be given by the government. What is more important for you to understand here is that these are these statistics, which are, see, India is import dependent, heavily import dependent on semiconductors. So India imports almost 100% of its semiconductor. Will you imagine that? And most of it from East Asia, almost 40% from a country like China. 75% of global manufacturing of semiconductor happens in East Asia. See, we have discussed the supply chain of East Asia, 75%. You should note these facts down. You should definitely note these facts down. Semiconductor chips are geographical and they have geographical specialization. 75% manufacturing in East Asia, right? China being one of the leaders. India in taking 40% of its semiconductors from China. Almost 100% of it is imported. So, and also not only this, the growth of semiconductor industry in India is going to skyrocket in the coming 5 years. In the coming 5 years, our growth will be 5 times than what it is happening right now, 5 times, and global growth rate will not be as much as this. We have a population consumer base, right? Not only that, see, India's low market penetration will allow it to grow a lot more faster. Electric vehicle, these are only examples, right? Smartphone devices, right? So these are the examples because of which India must invest in a market like this. Also, India is physically more proximate to East Asia. That is the reason. So note these facts. That is all, right? Okay, moving ahead to second snapshot. You guys with me? You agree with me? The opinions, they're fine. Let's go ahead then. The second snapshot is on radioactive pollution in water. Recently, today itself, in fact, in the newspaper, Comptroller and Auditor General had said that many of these water purifying companies who take out the water from earth, many of them do not apply for the adequate norms for quality assurance of the water that we drink. This is one of the issues. Along with that, another issue has been in news lately. This issue is that of water having radioactive pollution. Radioactive pollution. Now, this is something that can cause huge damage to all the flora, fauna, not only plant and animals, but humans as well. Mutative changes which are irreversible and they will not make us human anymore. These are the kind of changes we definitely want to avoid. Radioactive elements. Radioactive elements are found below the earth, and if we try to extract water from below the earth, from a certain level below, it is possible that the water there is mixed with the kind of rocks that contain radioactive material. So one is radioactivity because of the natural existence of radioactive material, and the second one is humanitarian issues, the issues that are caused because of anthropogenic wastage. So the radioactive waste, if it is not if it is not put to the ground in the proper way, then it also causes contamination. Both of these sources cause radioactive pollution. What are these sources? A very simple example is a mineral like uranium. Then we have many other minerals. Can you name some? So the World Health Organization has said that 30 microgram per liter of these radioactive elements, this is the higher limit. India has said 60 microgram, which is double the limit, but many villages in Karnataka are found to have exceeded both of these. So the study says groundwater has as much as 78% of the area. In 73 villages, they have unsafe and high levels of water contamination. In fact, one of the villages contain more than 1000 micrograms, This is so much that the people might have to shift from that particular village because of this kind of pollution, right? So there are natural causes of this and there are anthropogenic causes of this. Human causes are because of nuclear weapons investigation, nuclear calamities. A good example of this is what happened in Fukushima disaster, right? Nuclear powerhouses, dumping of radioactive waste, unscientific dumping. Natural causes is groundwater contamination with naturally occurring radioactive material. So they are called as norm, naturally occurring radioactive material, right? So if a question is asked, if a subjective question is asked relating to norm, you should be automatically able to understand the full form of it. Naturally occurring radioactive material, right? So this is what it leads to. The effect of it, you very well know, mutations in the body. All right, moving ahead. Yes. So let me see who guys are with me. Preeti says yes. Bhavani, yes. Manvendra, yes. Great. Amlan, Netra, Ashish, Tiyasha, Bhavani, all of you. Yes. Thorium, plutonium, absolutely. Yeah. Monazite is the mineral, absolutely. Okay. So, 5 years of UDAN scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. This was the intention. The main intention to initiate this scheme was to connect the underconnected or unconnected areas in the country. One of you had asked the question about what is the difference between Greenfield and Brownfield projects. Greenfield, matlab, it was a green field earlier, as you can remember. It was a green field and there were crops, or there was natural vegetation, and a project was to come up here. That is why a greenfield project, it had to be built from scratch. Whereas a brownfield project is the one where there are buildings or there is infrastructure already and we are refurbishing, recreating, regenerating the whole project. So greenfield project is a new project, start from right from the scratch, right? So gift city in Gujarat, infrastructure, what is that? Gift, right? The financial technological capital of India, Gift City near Ahmedabad. This is a greenfield project, right? Similarly, many airports which are new, there was nothing there, they are greenfield projects. On the other hand, if we are creating the whole area again, for example, the India Gate project, it is a brownfield project because there was infrastructure already created. It had to be renewed, refurbished. So that is why this is the difference. UDAN scheme speaks of serving the underserved and unserved, two kind of areas, underserved and unserved areas. Earlier, they started with underserved areas, those areas where there was connection, there was helipad, or there was aerodrome in the smaller towns, smaller tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and it was not being used properly. It was not being maintained. So the idea was to ensure that the maintenance of these helipads and aerodromes start happening, and the aircrafts, the private companies, they reduce down the fees and they start operating on newer areas. So this was the intention, and out of this, the government has initiated UDAN 1 and then UDAN 2, UDAN 3, UDAN 4 now. And in all these schemes, they have worked on the deficiencies of the previous scheme and they came up with another advanced scheme. So in this advanced scheme, the fourth one that they have also introduced seaplanes. They have introduced helicopter services. They have introduced newer areas, right? Newer areas of operation. But there are serious issues also with this particular scheme. So one good, part of the scheme, we'll just discuss about it here, is that it has also integrated the regional spaces. So smaller airports have come to utility. One good application of this is Krishi Udan, agricultural produce from those places which were not accessible but now will be accessible, and we can use these items to export also. We have studied this a few months back. I spoke about Krishi Udan, right? Similarly, Kisan Rail. Okay, but a couple of issues related to it. Out of around 900 total connections, interconnections which were to be made between different cities, only about 40% are operational. This is pathetic. Why? Because it has been 5 years of the scheme and yet only 40% of the whole area is operational. What about the government subsidies? Government gives subsidies in various forms. There are many rights, many authorities by the government that government can tax through Airport Authority of India. But government does say that we will not tax you. So there are many kind of subsidies the government has given to the airline carrier in that particular area of operation. There are many kind of charges government has exempted. For example, the airport fee is waived, right? Many charges like landing charges, parking charges, and many other charges in the area, they are lifted. They are not there. Security, electricity, firefighting facilities are free of cost, right? So this is the second issue. Giving these kind of subsidies is not sustainable. On the other hand, because of corona pandemic, the user base has also not increased. Government has also said that, indirectly government also regulates the prices of the air tickets here. So less than 500 kilometers of travel, there is a upper cap on the ticket. So the private flight operators cannot also increase the price above a limit. Also because of corona, there have been impact. So there are newer schemes, refurbished parts of the scheme. For example, helicopter service, seaplane, and diversion of traffic from bigger cities to smaller cities also. Yes, these are good steps. Having said that, there are operational inefficiencies also. The project has not taken flight. 60% of it has not taken flight in UDAN scheme. Then the subsidies are not, they are not sustainable in nature for the long run. So this is how, what you should do is you should pick up 4 points which are in favor of UDAN scheme. Firstly, about basics of the UDAN scheme. 5-6 pointers here, 5-6 pointers only, 5-6 facts, 4 pointers which are pro of the scheme, 4 pointers which indicate that the scheme has some issues. You will be able to answer any of the questions. If a question on what are the advantages or analyze the scheme comes, advantage you put in this, and conclusion will be some of the issues that need to be mended. If the question is about critical analysis, then you present both of them in an analytical order. Or if it is about criticizing the scheme, speak more about this and speak of the good things of the scheme towards the conclusion. This is how you should prepare all the topics. Okay, right? So RCS stands for regional connectivity, regional connectivity of flights. It is in that way, right? All right, this day in history. Let me see if somebody says something. Surya talks of Chernobyl disaster. Yes, it was one of the disasters, man-made disaster. All right, Gujarat International Finance Tech City. Thank you. Thank you for that full form. National Mathematics Day dedicated to the birth of Srinivas Ramanujan, right? So he was born on 22nd December 1887. He passed away at a young age but did wonders for development of mathematics in our country and abroad as well. So dedicated to Mr. Ramanujan. Feature news for the day is on India-Russia relations. We will understand this relation considering the past, present times, the future times, the interrelationship between other countries and European Union, how India stands here, what is the relationship between Russia and Pakistan, Russia and China, and how India has progressed its relationship with Russia in the last 50 years. So this is the featured news to be discussed in the upcoming video, just after this video, right? What is next for us is the world's longest flexible battery. This battery that you see, this is wired. These are mashes and these are wired. So this battery is a flexible battery because it can be put at any components of the gadget, and we can also use it on ourselves. So wearable devices will become very easy to handle once we have a battery like this. Imagine a battery, lithium-ion battery, which is rigid, which is in the shape of the traditional batteries, and imagine a flexible battery which can be worn on the hand, right, tied on the hand. We will have better use of devices, electronic devices, once we have this kind of battery operational, right? You see this image? Can you see these coils? This is the battery. Good thing for you to know that these kind of innovations do exist and they are happening in the current future, near future. All right, terms and concepts. The first term that we have for today is controlled aerial delivery system. It was in news, CADS. As mentioned, it is the controlled aerial delivery system. What could come in the exam is CADS. What is it related to? So this is about a delivery system which can deliver the payload, a particular load to a particular place itself, maximum weight to be 500 kilos. It can deliver through aerial transportation route precisely at that particular position. So how will it be able to deliver? It is through the use of GPS, right? So do remember, when we talk about security, science, technology, or internal security issues, aerial delivery system, right? You can also use this while you talk of the delivery of urgent aid to any places required, right? So be it natural disasters, natural calamities, or medical aid, right? Controlled aerial delivery system, CADS 500 killer drones. So while the previous one could be used in paper 1, society, social issues, paper 2 as well, paper 3 in science, technology development, security issues, natural disasters, you can use killer robots while you talk about the ethics of defense technology. So these killer robots they could be either humanoids, human-shaped robots, or they could be mechanical robots in the form of a vehicle or in the form of other robot, right? So they are those kind of lethal autonomous weapon systems. Remember this, lethal autonomous weapon systems which do not need human word on if they should be able to go ahead with killing or not. So they will be able to operate only because of the set of instructions given to them prior to their operation. So there will be no human angle on this, and United Nations has recently failed. It has recently failed to curb the use of these killer robots. So this is why in news you should know what is the lethal robot, right? So they will have no human operated kill switch. No human operated kill switch. Currently, the kind of automated weapons that we use, long distance weapons, one of the good examples is the UAVs, unmanned air vehicles. Here, thousands and thousands of kilometers away, somebody is actually operating the UAV. If there is a mistake, it is not that of the unmanned air vehicle, it is that of the person who is operating the UAV. They are held accountable and responsible. On the other hand, if these kind of killer robots are activated, then no human will be held accountable for that. Only government will have to ensure that these kind of things do not take an ugly shape. And that is why international body, United Nations, is trying to curb or regulate its use, right? So ethical debate, do remember that, right? Chillai Kalan. Now these are the times of winters, and Chillai Kalan is the word used for the times when there is maximum cold in the Kashmir region, right? So 40 days of period of major cold. And you know the significance of a time like this, significance of a time like flood, significance of a time like droughts as well. Okay, droughts. The significance, many people say that these are natural calamities. Yes, absolutely they are. But floods are the times when the whole area gets replenished with newer fertile soil, right? So Khadar and Bangar, right? Flood prone areas. What about issues like Chillai Kalan? This is the time when fresh snow happens, and this gives, you know, fresh water resources to the places when there is upcoming summer season. So this is the advantage of a place like this. What is the advantage of having a place under drought? Because of this is a process of natural selection. We always present the one side of the story. The other side is that if we have natural droughts, this is an event which helps in natural selection. Those kind of biota, those kind of flora fauna which are which can survive more in the adverse times, they will survive, and those which cannot survive well, they will die. So droughts are one of the ways through which the stronger entities, they survive, or there is a process of natural selection. We understand who can survive, who cannot, right? Surya says robots plus artificial intelligence will be disastrous, which would think autonomously and kill humans in inhuman way. Pooja says Russia said curbs, but USA not. All right. Lakshman says matrix incoming. All right. So I understand your comments, but what you have to understand is that you have to note this down and use it at the right places. Ethical dilemmas, technological developments, defense technology, right? International relations, international laws. So these are the places where you can use an example like this, a case like this, or directly put it as a point in the answer. Chillai Kalan, we have understood what it is. Smartphones, contributors of electronic waste. See, just now we studied that we will have a policy towards introducing the semiconductor manufacturing in India, right? Fab manufacturing industry, display manufacturing industry, and all that primarily for the industry of smartphones. Imagine the creation of industry in India or its acceleration at the pace of 40%, but the recycling or its refurbishing industry is only at 20%. That means that we will have accelerated growth of those kind of smartphones which are unusable, which will be e-waste, electronic waste. Presently, I have got 2 laptops at my home. I do not know how to sell it off. It is actually working, but it is decades old. It is 10 years, 12 years old, and they are working. Nobody wants to have them. I want to put them in electronic waste, generate a couple of ₹1,000 for myself, each laptop. Who wants to buy? There is no way one can buy. So people who are even willing, they are also not able to handle their devices, electronic devices. This results to the creation of electronic waste. See, smartphones production only contributes to 80-90% of carbon emission. Not only that, they produce carbon emission, but if they are a part of e-waste, then it will also contribute to what? To pollution. Multifaceted pollution. Even when these substances, these smaller entities of these microphones, these phones, they could be used for creation of another devices, they are getting waste. Same happened to our policy on vehicle scrappage policy. Most of the components of the vehicle, they can be reused in another vehicle. They can be used. The glasses, the tires, They can be reprocessed to create another device. What about the body, the chassis itself, the components of engine? They can be used, but they all lie as waste. They can be refurbished and used again. So the news is that we are introducing these kind of gadgets in our daily life. We are also causing a paucity of these minerals and metals. See, high consumption has already led them to be endangered metals. On the other hand, the increase of e-waste is also happening. So there is a humongous scope of bridging this gap, right? These endangered metals can be processed again and become a supplier for the same industry. India contributes, along with China, Japan, USA and UK, to the highest e-waste generation, right? Okay, so you guys are here. Preeti says solid waste pollution. Yes, we have covered complete feature news on solid waste. Just type solid waste Edukemy on YouTube, you will be able to find the video. And we have covered the participation of informal sector in solid waste. Another very, very important component specific to a country like India. So both of them are covered as a feature news, become very important from social perspective and from the perspective of making changes in the country. The third editorial is also on the similar kind of issue, right? That is of marginalized communities. Are jobs really being created? This is the question that we want to ask. Reports are being circulated around. Some report of the government itself says more jobs are getting created, economy is in the rigor. On the other hand, there are reports of the government itself which indicate that there are less jobs being created. One example of sharing if jobs are getting created or not is through the level of consumption in economy. Consumption. If consumption is happening, then possibly there are jobs getting created. People are getting employed. And because of this, the first thing that people do is consume. If consumption is happening, then the next thing that they do is save something for their family, for themselves, for the worst times. And if they're able to save some of it, they also reinvest in the economy. This is the criteria on which the economy actually grows. This is the criteria on which the economy only sustains, right? Because of consumption, somebody will also get employed for production. But if people save, this is for longer term. If people reinvest, the economy also grows bigger, right? So this is the crux. It says that a lot of indicators are being used of job creation, but employment exchange, government data is not the most credible source. One of the credible sources could be the fact that people are consuming. So is in India, do we see some level of consumption happening at some places? Yes. We see increased usage of logistical devices and goods, more transportation. We see increase in consumption of energy throughout the country, increase in demand of electricity, right? So these are certain indicators. Purchasing Managers Index, these are certain indicators. But are they inclusive? They may be good for industrial growth. But what about the growth of that base, which is informal sector? See, so this is where lies the disparity. Would you like to read this editorial? If you would like to, this is from Hindu Business Line. Just click on this link on PDF. You will be able to go here. Right? Biological Diversity Amendment Bill, Ayush-climate debate. See, the Ministry of Ayush is the one which is responsible for alternate system of medication. And there have been some amendments that are being proposed to be made in the Biological Diversity Act 2002, so that Ayush workers can utilize those resources, those biological resources which are good for Ayush. For example, ashwagandha, for example, neem, tulsi. Now these are only examples. There's so many other biological diversity entities which can be utilized, but they're not being utilized because these doctors or these people, researchers, they have to take permission from the biological diversity authorities, right? Biological diversity boards, right? And in case this is to be done away with, this will be good. This is what the government says, because they will be able to conduct their research far more efficiently. So this is a public debate on this. Pre-legislative consultation has not happened, whether these Ayush workers should be able to conduct their research activities without approval of biodiversity board or not. So this is the upcoming issue. See, it all comes down to whether we had pre-legislative consultation or not, whether all stakeholders were inclusively, they were taken in, into confidence or not, right? Okay, Surya says jobs are getting created in IT sector. Absolutely true. There is a reason for that. IT sector, right? And then we also have sectors like semiconductor industry. Yes, why? Because of this kind of economy where we see, a disease like corona, work from home economy, in more integrated setups which are online in nature, IT is in demand. Pharmaceutical industry is in demand. Certain sectors are definitely in demand, certain are not. So this is the reason that we see a K-shaped growth in our country, right? So some of these sectors, they have grown back, as you mentioned very well, some of the sectors have grown, but some of the sectors are still reeling under the burden. This is called as K-sector, growth, K-sector recovery. The third is the denial into deliberation in the case of manual scavenging, inclusive, laws and manual scavenging. There are certain steps. If you can count, if you can tell me some steps which the government has taken so that manual scavenging be reduced in our country, can you name some of them? Can you name some of the schemes or some of the steps the government has taken? The editorial talks about some important steps. One of the steps being Indian Railways making the whole, making the journey free of manual scavenging. So be it the railway coaches, they have been made automated, biodegradable waste. This is one. The second is the usage of the railway platforms. All these sewage, places, they have been covered. So through this, the participation of manual scavenging has reduced significantly in many of the institutional roles. Right? There are many other ways in which government has tried to rehabilitate people who are participants in manual scavenging in other roles. Government is trying to ensure that they've given skills, their children be treated, and largely, you would be surprised to know that one of the factors that only specific downtrodden communities are involved in manual scavenging act. This largely involves two kinds of work. One is the one that deals with human excreta, and the second one is the burial or cremation. Cremation is the better word to use. In the cremation grounds, people who are participating in these activities, manual scavenging activities, they're only from some specific particular communities, downtrodden communities. So government is working towards their welfare. Right? Case study of the day is on the journey of one of the persons, a very modest person with modest background. His name is Mr. Himanshu. He has cleared the civil service exam three times. And this is the third time he cleared in 2020. From a very, very humble background, would travel kilometers and kilometers to be able to study, right? Just like you, just like me. But yes, the difference here is that I did not qualify. He qualified and you are the potential qualifiers. But he did not lose focus. This is the point that I am making here. He did not lose focus in the kind of debates which would not lead to any conclusion, which would not lead to results getting through the examination. He qualified thrice, the latest in 2020, and modest background, traveled 70 kilometers daily to reach his school, right? He did not even dream of getting through the civil service examination in the first go. Only after 12th class, he thought that yes, he could do something about this. His father is still, working at the grassroots, right? So his father working at, very, very humble background. That's what I would like to say, right? So if you can look at your image in this, if you can look at the image of your family here, then you should be rightly aligned into what we are talking. Remember the ADEC principle, ADEC, analysis, data, example, case studies and keywords. Pick up all this from all the articles. You will have a set of not less than 1500 articles in the whole year, not less than these articles in the whole year. If you have analysis, data, example, case studies, keywords, if you keep revising this, your main examination, nobody will be able to stop your, getting through. Nobody. Only God will have to come down to earth, request you not to get through, right? That is the only case. Otherwise, you will definitely get through. This is what the person has proved. Got through thrice. So, quote of the day. A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work, right? You are working hard, but the direction is also very important, right? So, if there are questions, please put them in, right? Surya says, I am an EC engineer, semiconductor industry, recruitment is less. All right. In India, it is less. Very well said. So, we come to the conclusion of this conversation, right? If you like this video, if you like our effort, do share some love on us through likes, comments, and share some love by subscribing to the channel, right? We grow this community, and then we will even deliver better products to you. The second video, upcoming video, is on the feature news, which is on another link. That feature news is on India-Russia relationship, right? So see you in the other video. Thank you for participating. There are comments, questions, doubts. Please put them on. I will reply back to you. Thank you for being a part.